We are rolling into May now, and I wanted to show you my indigo. Right now you see a lot of dead leaves and branches on it, but if you look really close, you'll see all this new growth in the bottom. And the reason I kept this old growth on was for the winter, for frost, for winds, for snow, and it protects the indigo really well. But now I can start removing that dead growth, and I'll show you how I do that. As I walk up, I'm going to show you that. So all this green growth, I'm not going to touch any of that. That's all good. I'm not going to touch that. So I'm going to come down as far as I can with and just try and cut. It's going to be thick. It's going to be difficult to cut, or what I wanted to show you there too, it is extremely hard to cut, but what you can do is sometimes break it off as well, as you saw right there. So let's do it right here. Broke off, no issue. Again, broke off, no issue. But be really delicate around the new growth. So don't rip these out too fast. There we go. Now, these actually make really good kindling for firewood, for bonfires and everything like that. I save these. They are fantastic for starting a fire. So I'm going to go in again. Just a little, there we go, snapped at the bottom. Here's a little piece, snapped. But I'm being very careful not to mess with the new growth. Here we go again. Now just that little spot, let me show you what it looks like once I pull these out. Ignore the weeds on the side, I'll be dealing with those next. But here we go. This is just that little bit that I pulled, and you can see how much better it looks. Now, let me stand up and do the same thing. I'm going to come here, I'm going to pull, broke off, here, pull, break off. There we go. So it's not that bad. So I'll give you a better look here. I took about half of the dead branches out. And this is just starting to grow. There's going to be a lot more growth coming through. And one thing to note, this is in full sun all day. And I water it. If it looks a little droopy, I start to water it. But it's a rainy day today, so I don't have to worry about any of that. I'm going to come in. I'm just going to break off more branches. There we go. We're getting a little bit deeper. I'm being a little bit more careful. Go. And you can see they're rotted at the bottom. So the plant was actually trying to push them out anyways. So the way the new growth could come in. But this is going to get really big, really tall, and I'm excited for the flowers to come too. Oh, that one's holding on a little strong. I'm going to leave that one alone for now. And that's one of those, if it's holding on, that's when you come in and cut it. Alright, I'll show you the results after I break the rest of these out. Here's the results of me taking out the old branches. You can see a lot of the leaves are sitting around it as well. I'm not going to touch them. It's going to be good for keeping out weeds. And even the leaves inside there, not going to touch them. Going to leave them there, let them compost themselves, help keep out weeds. And this is going to get much taller, so please subscribe, and I will show you more about the indigo plant, also known as Baptisia. This is blue dye indigo, also known as false indigo or Baptisia. And this is a miniature one. This one won't get too tall. It sits about maybe 2.5, 3 feet tall right now. And it's coming up in the springtime. It's early spring right now. And you can see it's getting really close to getting these nice purple blooms. It's just about to. But these are great plants, very hardy, very little care. My indigo plant is starting to bloom. I've been taking care of this for a while now, and I've gotten mine to about 2 or 3 times the size of a normal indigo. Definitely subscribe and learn more about how I take care of my indigo. A few days later, and here's the indigo that I showed you earlier. It is bushed out a little bit more. The flowers are blooming. Give you a nice close-up on those. This indigo is mostly in the shade with a little bit of sun, but overall very healthy, and it's in sandy soil. After a few more days, you can see that the indigo is really blooming now. I would say it's about halfway through its blooms. There's still a bunch of them that need to continue the bloom, but this will bloom for another few weeks, and I'm excited and enjoying every minute of it. Let me get you a view a little bit further away. Here you can see it stands nice and tall. That's a 6 to 7 foot fence, and it sits about halfway up the fence. And it's a perfect balance in a garden, and I enjoy every minute of it. Here's some more indigo or Baptisia. I showed you this one earlier. This is one of them. It sits on the north side of a house, and it gets about maybe 4 to 6 hours of sun because of the shade that comes from the house once the sun starts going more west. But they definitely do well in partial shade and full, sorry, I spoke wrong. Partial sun to full sun. And here's the situation. It's not as big as the one you've seen before in full sun, but in partial sun it does pretty well too. I'll show you another one in 1 second. Here's another one. This one is in a lot more shade. So you can see it's not quite as big, it's not creating quite as many blooms. So that's my puppy. And so you won't get as much from it, but still you'll get a really nice plant. If you prefer to put this in shade, you absolutely can, but it keeps it a little bit more controlled versus ones that are in full sun will really take over their space. My indigo is getting bigger and bigger with more and more blooms. I'll slowly give you a close-up on it. But you can see I'm about 3/4 of the way through the blooms, or almost bloomed, I should say. But there's still some more that are coming out. Some of the ones that are a little bit shorter, they haven't bloomed yet, so this will be a nice long few weeks, and I'm excited. Here's some more of my indigo, or false indigo, Baptisia. Just wanted to give you another view of it. There's more blooms. So excited. I love this plant. Welcome back to Green Bee Explorer. Behind me, you'll see a giant green shrub. That's my indigo, also known as Baptisia or false indigo or blue dye indigo. So today I'm going to be showing you how I deadhead my indigo. The reason I'm deadheading my indigo is because, well, last year I harvested a ton of seeds, so I really don't need any more. and I'll be able to use those throughout the years. But this time I'm going to be deadheading it because I don't want it to produce seeds, and I want it to focus more on the plant itself. So keep watching and I'll show you how I deadhead it to make a healthier plant. So what I want you to see right here is, here's where we had a section of flowers, but now they're turning into seed pods. You'll see these little pods starting to develop right here. That's sucking a lot of energy out of the plant, and we want to prevent this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep following this branch all the way down to the seed pods. But what I don't want to do is cut off the whole branch at the bottom, because right now there's another healthy branch with no flowers on it that's also using that same branch. So I'm just going to cut down right where they meet and just take off the seed pods. So here's another example of what I was talking about. You see on the left hand side right here we have the seed pods. On the right hand side we have a nice healthy branch. Now if I go down, you see how there's more and more and more branches? I don't want to cut those. So I'm just going to focus on this one right here, which is the seed pods, come towards the bottom and snip. And you see, we still have a nice healthy branch connected. Here's another one, a little section of seeds, snip. Here's another one back here, little section. I'm just going to go down to where it ends and snip. But you can see I didn't take out any of my other branches and foliage right here. So it keeps it nice and healthy and looking nice.